We have a presentation by two of our presenters, and now two PhD students from Bologna, Martina Pensalfini and Lorenzo Sabatino. And they'll be talking to us about copyright and computation regarding the works of Gadda. So please take over.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for this introduction. I'm very pleased to be here to present to you Copyright and Computation, Rethinking Gadda to Open Data and Visualization. So the two projects that you will see actually share a problem, which is that due to copyright, we are not able to access some specific materials around the author, Carlo Emilio Gadda. His case is also particularly complex due to the fact that we were not able to also obtain a deal with the author's heirs and the publishing houses to actually be able to access and also represent his own documents. Because of this, we actually had to take a small creative option that was actually to try to rethink knowledge and how we actually perceive them, to actually break through the traditional way and actually depict a new way to browse an author's life, his works, documents, his own social network. And we did so by employing open data and also and visualization.
Yeah, so no, the other one. Okay. So starting from this research question, we would like to present you two complementary ways to tackle the same actual problem, which is navigating through Gadda's work and Gadda's life and Gadda's imaginative world through approaches that are for us complementary but tackle different aspects of this question. So namely the Open Gadda and Atlante Gadda project. So the Open Gadda project actually deals with the knowledge extraction and data collection of Gadda's work, dealing with available metadata that relates to archival documents and bibliographical sources and all the avant texts that actually relate to the textual phenomena to retrace the framework of the author. Atlante Gadda, on the other hand, tries to deal with interpretational and representational level, trying to reflect on how the concept of space and spatial analysis could really shape and tries us to understand how Gadda's create his imaginative world. So to understand how real places and fictional places actually act together to create his imaginative world and just his narrations. So we think that these two approaches can just form a kind of a dual model of access, one from a documentary point of view, one from a representational and visualizational point of view. But this is to say that we think that computational methods, in this case with authors under copyright law, can really not only preserve what needs to be preserved under copyright law, but also enhance our comprehension of authors through open linked data. So I leave the floor to Martina to explain Open Gadda, and then we switch to Atlante.
Okay, so perfect. So what do we do when we're not able to actually access an author's works or documents directly? In the case of Carlo Emilio Gadda, we had a lot of documents that were easily accessible to us and to general audiences that we could employ for this purpose. And what we actually went to do with these documents, for example, in the case of the archives, we had a document, our document where it was stored all the different items that were stored in the archives with all the metadata linked to it. In this case, what we went to do was that we actually went to extract the data. The extraction was done semi-automatically, as it was done first automatically through the employment of regular expressions and Python libraries, and then I actually checked it manually just to be sure that the first extraction had not been faulty. After this, I actually created an Excel spreadsheet with all the data that I was able to extract from this document, and then I actually turned this Excel spreadsheet into a JSON file. This was because I actually wanted to publish all this data on the web, and I did so by actually publishing them in a website that is hosted by GitHub, where the user can actually browse through the data and also filter into different features. As this data can be quite overwhelming for the user, I also help the user by creating some visualizations that would create some thematic path for them to follow. Obviously, the Open Gadda was first developed as my master thesis project, and it will be my PhD project during my tenure. And at the moment, it actually has just two sections, one for the author's archive and another for the author's library. The author's library in this case actually came from a document that was the catalog of all the books stored in the author's library that was made by Giorgio Alcini and Milena Zufrida. And it was actually not created by me, but a colleague of mine, Eleonora Pasquale. And one thing that was very interesting was that we actually find a way to combine all this data so that the archives and the library could actually be connected for the user also to see the connection between the different sections. As I was saying, this will be my PhD project, so I have every intention to implement some further sections, such as the primary bibliography of the author based on the freely accessible document Bibliografia di Indici by Dante Zella and others, and also the secondary bibliography instead that will be based on the Edinburgh Journal of Gadda Studies and Wikigadda, and finally letters. The letters are actually very important for us, as we actually have a lot of letters inside of the archives, around 10,000 letters. At the moment, we actually have a few difficulties with letters, especially because we both have the possibility to extract the letters from the published work of the author, and also we have list of all the senders that was created by Carlotta Gentili. And in this case, the trouble is that meanwhile, with the published letters, we actually have distinct data. So we are able to actually have the specific date in which you send the letters, in which you received, or so on. With the catalog, we actually have a time frame, hence we don't have the precision as we have with the published letters. Still, this actually could give us a lot of insight inside of the author's own creative process and social network, as we are able to extract, first of all, the sender, so the social network, and secondly, we are also able to extract the place from which he sent the letter, so where he was at a certain time and place. And finally, we also have, as I was saying, the date. So this actually has been a kind of a discussion about how to deal with this and how to represent it. Another implementation that I would like to actually create during my PhD project, and that is actually the final result that I expect to bring forward, is that as the current website is has been developed during my master's thesis project, I would like to actually create a stronger interface and a stronger system to manage the data. And so I want to actually try to find a platform that would be able to actually give this result. And aside from the visualization that I have already created, I would also like to sum up all the data that I've been able to collect so far. So the bibliography, the archive, the library, the letters, I would like to sum them all up in a final timeline visualization that will be able to actually purposefully represent the authors to his own movement throughout his life, but also the movement of his own works and also the social network of his friend. I will now be passing the mic to Lorenzo.
Okay, so now for the second part, we switch to the second approach, represented by the Atlante Gadda project. Let's see that colors is different. Okay, which tries to deal with the question of how adopting a critical point of view of spatial analysis, how can we understand the creation of fictional work in Gadda's work through the analysis and comparison of real data about real places, fictional places, and the authorial space, and how they can all relate to his evolution, how they shape the author's point of view and fictional imagination over time. So the actual project aims to be a three-step pipeline to create the semantic literary map, of course, starting with the data extraction of toponyms and location expression about locations and spatial information, to switching to exploratory visualization, so WebGIS, to explore urban geography information, and finally an ontology-driven representation to better enhance the semantic relationship between fictionality and real places, and to understand how this relationship take place in the works. So So first step, of course, the data extraction. Actually, I've done a manual extraction of those data thanks to the index of places done by Dante Sella for the Garzanti critical edition of Gadda. So I just updated them, and then I tried to experiment with our database and identity recognition model just to assess the capacity of prediction of this model and potentially adapt it for other authors that doesn't have this kind of index of places and this manually work done. So, and then of course I geocoded all the information to assess the GeoJSON data. So the second step actually is the exploratory webpage, the infrastructure that I use to explore how the real places develops in the unfolding of the plot. And so the user can navigate through these features, these three main features, one being the timeline of chapter that, as you can see, can helps you follow the pattern of places through the unfolding of the plot, through the chapters. Then I add, of course, a set of filters and constraints just to refine the research about a set of chapter or a set of characters or a set of places. And finally, as I said, the updated street directory of Dante Sella one. Finally, the most challenging part of the project, which is basically started with the reflection on how we present real places, fictional places on a cartographic layer that are not actually traceable, or not in a one-to-one relation with the real counterpart. So I started to model this formal relationship, basically using, maybe we can switch to the next one. Yeah, thank you. To start with the case study of Via Merulana, of course, which is the most famous street in the Pasticciaccio Romance. And basically trying to create three different classes, one being the defining the narrative role that each place has in the unfolding of the plot, the reality status that actually tries to map these different degrees of relationship between real places and fictional places. So starting with imported one, to transformed one, to imagined one, and finally to the invented one that cannot detect in the real places. And finally, a place category just to cluster topics and enhance the information about them, aligning with external vocabularies such as Wikigada and Getty. So the final aim of the project and the semantic layer specifically is to try and understand how to create sort of a guideline or semantic, a visual a template to enhance this ability to show all features of a fictional space, even when there are no, a direct connection with the real ones, but still using the WebGIS interfaces that I'm implementing for the second step. So just to conclude, in a nutshell, what we have done with OntoGadda and with Atlante Gadda, we just think that what is lacking nowadays in the field of DH for these approaches are a lack of platforms that can reintegrate these two approaches in a more comprehensive one, with the integration of bibliographical stances and information about the author, and the interpretational one with visualization that helps us to understand these authors that are still under copyright. So the midterm goal for us is to create this environment and potentially extend it to other authors under copyright. Thank you.
We actually have 1 minute left.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect time. Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead. Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very interesting. Since you're visualizing your data on a map, and you have also fictional places that cannot be geolocated,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
How do you visualize that in a map? If you do, and if you don't, how do you visualize this kind of information? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for this question, because it's actually the most challenging part of this this framework is the three-step pipeline, the third part. I actually started building on the reflection that that has been done on in 2011 by the Atlas Europe in Zurich. They create a taxonomy to map these degrees of uncertainty in spatial places, and actually using the fuzzy representation of geolocated borders of a place, or just scatter plotting a map to create. So for me, the challenging but relevant part is to not broke the relationship between the map and the cartographical orientation in the project, but still not forcing information about fictional places that cannot be geolocated exactly in one point or another, but to combine these two. And as I said, I started with the semantic modeling to navigate through these different layers, different degrees of uncertainty, and hoping to create a legend for each one of them, and to use it in a layer of cartographical references to combine these two, of course, with legend and documentation and other textual information, but basically trying to use a comprehensive map to do them all. I don't know if thank you.
We still have time for one short question. There's, but, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Elena Spadini asks, can you say something about the thematic cards used in Open Gadda? Are they used only for the archives or potentially also for the other sections? Thanks.
We actually have the intention to extend the concept of thematic cards to the entirety of the other sections, mostly because it will be also kind of a filter method for the different section. And it is also something that is able to actually connect the different section, because this way you can actually just search, for example, a specific work of Gadda, and you actually will have all the materials based on the different sections. So, for example, you have all the books that you wrote about the specific work, or, for example, all the items that were stored linked to the specific thematic card. So this is something that we actually have the intention to fully extend to the entirety of the database as well.
I hope that answers the question. I think that's all the time we have for this discussion. Happy to continue over lunch.